News today is April 14th, 2022. And there's a lot going on in the news. As always, we're bringing it back here local with an interview for Liberty candidate Nicholas Wildstar, running for Fresno City Council District 3. How are you doing today, Nicholas?
Fantastic, Sam. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here again to speak with you, my man.
Thank you. We love the Liberty candidates on Weaponized News. And we have our co-host, Thomas from Alpha Omega Energy. How are you doing today, Thomas?
Doing great. It's good to be back in a Weaponized News broadcast.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on in the world. We were just talking about Elon Musk maybe buying Twitter. And so we were talking about that a little bit. We're streaming on Twitter actually right now. And so somehow Weaponized News, with all the censorship, has managed to stay on Twitter, probably heavily shadow banned. We don't know, but we're growing there slowly and steadily, and we're able to broadcast there. So we're thankful for that today. So, Nicholas, the first question, why do you want to work for the government?
Because it's screwed up. I mean, somebody's got to get it right one of these days, right? And it's not really the government that's the problem. It's the people that work for the government. You know what I mean? They're so corrupt. They have all of these special interest groups that they're in the pocket for. So it's really just the people that are causing the system itself to be devalued, and something that we the people see as being an interference with our day-to-day lives. So I figured the best way to get it back on track is to get involved myself and be one of those people that steers it into the right direction. So that's been my goal ever since I've been involved as a political activist. I call myself a raptivist. I had started out in music and had shifted to political activism around 2008, 2009, something like that. But first ran for office for governor in 2014, then ran again in 2018 when I was endorsed by the Libertarian Party. And I most recently ran as a gubernatorial candidate in the recall election to get rid of Gavin Newsom. Unfortunately, I didn't get elected to replace him, or else the state would be in a much better condition than it is in now. But got to start somewhere, you know. So I figured, why not make a statement here in Fresno as a city council member, and hopefully, again, start the direction and to the right, way where we should be going here.
I think that's how we first met during the Recall Newsom campaign. You're out there putting in a lot of hard work, gathering those signatures, and we did succeed. We did succeed in having the recall election. We just failed. We failed in actually recalling and replacing Newsom, but you could see that the sentiment was there from these draconian lockdown measures that Governor Gavin Newsom put in place due to the virus that can't be named. Since we're streaming on YouTube, we don't want to get flagged, but you could see people were very upset. They locked down the schools. They did all these draconian measures, all the COOF mandates that and put a lot of businesses out of business. And so we gathered over, as a collective effort, the Recall Newsom campaign gathered like over 2 million signatures, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it did. I believe like almost 2.2 million to be exact. But yeah, you're absolutely right. And speaking with the people on the streets collectively, the people of California were sick and tired of Gavin Newsom and wanted to get him out of office. It's a shame that that effort kind of fell short once the gubernatorial candidates were presented by the media. I think that played a a heavy factor in it not being as successful as we thought it would, because it really was a lot of bipartisan, support in wanting to get him out of office. So, and on the signature side, at least, I wish that again that would have translated in votes.
Yeah, they framed it as because of course the front runner was Larry Elder, and they framed it he's a far right winger, Trumper, extremist that's going to take away all of your progressive progression here in California, right? And they swung it in like 2 weeks. It was pretty amazing because it was like Newsom's gone, right? The polls are saying this guy's losing, he's in trouble, and it felt like the media. And then, of course, Larry Elder, he campaigned on ending welfare. And it's like, dude, maybe you could really think that we should end welfare. And I think we should definitely cut a lot of it back. But you can't campaign on that in California, a heavy blue state, and think that you're going to win. So he just came hard right. And it was like, maybe you're too far extreme right. And maybe you could do that once you're in office, but tone it down a little bit. But it was also the media, they call it what was most disgraceful, and just they called him the blackface of white supremacy, right? I mean, so that was just like so disrespectful, so disgusting, that the way the media framed it against Elder. It was really sad.
Yeah, I mean, the media, of course, has its job, and that's to make sure that the public stays misinformed. And they did a very good job in doing so during the recall, but that more so because of them framing it as the Republican recall, as they called it, the Republican recall, when, as you pointed out, in being a signature gatherer, speaking to the people that were actually signing that petition, they were Republicans, they were Democrats, they were liberals, conservatives. They were, I don't give a damn about it, just get Newsom out of office. And that's really the message that I wish would have been getting promoted to the public. But unfortunately, again, they had their agenda, and a lot of them were left-leaning, publications. And that's really why they targeted and, sided with Gavin Newsom, is because he's their golden boy, and Larry Elder was a perfect target. He made himself a perfect target, like you pointed out, with, not toning it down and focusing on the political rhetoric that has continued to divide the people of the state of California, instead of speaking along the lines in a tone that would have unified them, wanting to end the unnecessary lockdowns that has proven now, here we are, fast forward 2 years later, or whatever the case may be, the science has proven they were unnecessary. They did nothing, so the people that were out there protesting against them the entire time were absolutely right about it not being backed by science, like myself, like yourself, So yeah, and the people that suffered from it were the residents of California, the hardworking people, the people trying to keep food on their table and a roof over their head, and make sure they're able to provide for their families. And it's sad again that the message fell flat, not only with the candidates, the leading candidate, Larry Elder. It's unfortunate that I didn't get promoted, because I would have been heard by more people saying exactly that. And the Republican Party didn't help in that effort either, and by making sure more of the candidates were heard instead of focusing on a specific few. So it would have been better if they even the playing field. It's politics, and it's all about who's able to rise up to the top of the crop, so to speak.
Some of the most ridiculous things, if I remember, about the lockdowns were when they arrested a surfer out in the ocean.
Yeah, I remember that.
Remember that the guy was out in the ocean alone surfing,
Yeah.
and they arrested him. And then also in Southern California, they bulldozed sand into skate parks so the kids couldn't go to the skate park, right? And it's just like, but all that was directed from the state level. Gavin Newsom was saying, make it as cruel and just horrible for everybody as you possibly can. And he deserved to be recalled, man. He really did deserve.
Well, yeah, I mean, you would think with all of the discomfort he caused the people of California, it would have kind of been more people that were demanding his removal, despite whoever was going to replace him, you
Yeah,
know.
my cat could be better than him. I mean, it's
At
just
least for a year,
yeah.
let's put somebody else in there for a year. What more damage can they do than what this guy has done? And he hasn't stopped. I mean, he's been out there doing more, violating of his own policies. When he was out at the football championship game, when he
Yeah,
was
in LA, yeah.
yeah, exactly. Where he's out there maskless, even though the people of Los Angeles are being forced to wear masks, being forced to provide identification that they've been vaccinated. Now they're backtracking on all of these policies since they've removed the mandates. And that was only after the governor again got exposed for not being as concerned about public health as he makes it seem. So it's sad that we got put into this situation, but now it's a matter of what we're going to do about it. And we do have an election coming up June 7th here in California. Will be mailed out ballots early May, so you'll have between May and June to vote. You have no excuse. Get
No
that
excuses.
ballot mailed in, take it into person. If you want, go to a voting station, whatever the case may be. Just vote. But with the options that have been propped up by the Republican Party, it's a possibility that Gavin Newsom may end up getting the majority in June, and we'll be stuck with them again for another 4 years. So that's why it's even more important for us to take action on the local level and make sure that we're securing our community by making sure our local officials represent and reflect the values that we want protected by our government officials. And hopefully the people of Fresno will give me the opportunity as a city council representative.
Yeah, we have something called the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, and the guy you're running against, Miguel Arias, seems to have forgotten that in District 3 in Fresno, California. Here, it's the Southwest Tower District, downtown Chinatown, and South Fresno and Central Fresno. And so it's a rather large district with a diverse constituency. But this guy was like the number one tyrant. He was sending out code enforcement to shut down the Waffle House and all this stuff. And he was like the number one lockdown or number one tyrant for lockdowns, because he said he was saving everybody's life. But actually, it turns out that he's nothing more than a tyrant, criminal. I guess you can't call him that. I can, for violating our civil rights. He violated our civil rights, our Bill of Rights, our constitutional rights under order of Newsom. He was cited for, at the very beginning of this, he was, remember those activists, Ben Bergquam and other activists went to his home to confront him about, why are you being such a tyrant, to stand up for our rights. And he came out and pushed them, and he was actually cited for that. And now he has these shady dealings. Somehow Fresno City lost $400,000 to African email scam. That happened. That happened just recently, and that's under this guy's watch.
Let me clear that up. Actually, it was not African email scams. Miguel Arias made those claims. It ended up finding out that those scammers were American. And what they did was they used some invoices. They made phony invoices that looked similar to the ones that the city officials were sending out, and it was on automatic payment. And the I guess person that was responsible of making these payments made a human oversight, and continued to make those payments despite or them again being phony invoices. So it's a matter of cover up, because what the city officials did was, even though they knew about this back in 2020, they didn't make it public. They didn't say anything about it, and even to this day, they're sitting on the details of the matter, because I guess it's under an FBI investigation. But they serve the people of Fresno. They have a responsibility to the people of Fresno. The people of Fresno are the ones who elected them into office, so therefore they shouldn't have to comply with federal policy, when again their responsibility is to their constituency here in this city. So if it's a matter of compliance to make sure that certain details aren't exposed as a matter of security, then that's another story. But uh, from what has been learned so far, or has been exposed by reporters, is that they simply just are choosing not to provide all of the details, um, because they don't want to be exposed for all of their, overlooking the situation, and all of the mistakes that they've made. It's obvious at this point, but I'm pretty sure with exposure of a bit more of the details, it'll all come out as to who's involved. But Miguel,
Nicholas, it goes on and on with this Arias character, right? He's been accused by Fresno developers of pay-to-play schemes, and then we just saw recently Councilman Gary Bredefeld, actually the only elected representative in our area that stood up and said during the lockdowns and said these are wrong, they're unconstitutional. You're violating people's civil rights here. He's like the only guy, so we got to give him. I give him respect for that. But now he's come out and said that, what does he call them? There's 4 on the city council that have been using their expense funds to fund their campaigns, to pay for play type schemes. And so he's been exposing that, going through that lately. So it looks like we have a very corrupt city council, and these people have got to go. They're treating the public treasury, the taxpayer money, as their own private funds, like they're a private business and can run around and do whatever they want. But they work for us, we the people. They abuse us. They do all this crazy stuff, and then they just play politics and try to deflect, cover up, like you say. And what is it? The cover up is worse than the crime here now. Yeah. And so a lot of this stuff is starting to come out, and this guy's looking real dirty. He's looking real bad, the guy you're running against. So, I mean, you got to be able to do better than him. I mean, because this guy, he puts on a good front, like he cares, but then you start looking around and going, this guy's not an honest man, and he's done a lot of bad things to a lot of people.
Well, here's an opportunity for people that are upset with his performance as a representative, to actually switch him out and get some new talent in there. I mean, we have, I believe, 4 city council seats that are up for grabs, with 3 being one of them. And as you pointed out, he's one of the most disliked of the city council members, mainly because he's been a very vocal supporter of a lot of the policies that have harmed the people of the city the most, and especially with those lockdowns. It's awful he wasn't out there siding with the hardworking people of this city that ended up losing their jobs, or the families that weren't able to afford childcare, and send their kids to school because the schools were closed, and but yet they were still being taxed for them. We were all still being taxed for city services that we weren't able to utilize. So it's a matter of responsibility and accountability. And Miguel Arias has proven to be someone that is not reliable for either of those. So as far as people again having the opportunity to step up to the plate and do something about Miguel, what they can do is head over to thank you. Head over to my crowd pack because I'm 100% crowd funded. Miguel Arias, he's backed by unions, he's backed by, corporations, monopolies, the same old players that are, they got a grip on city policies. And, if we want to again take action, we have to make sure that we're funding it and protesting with our dollars. This is one way that we can do it is by backing a candidate that's actually going to be of the people, by the people, and for the people, and that's me. So if people go over to my crowd pack, they can make a donation. My fundraising goal is $25,000. I don't know if I'll be able to make that, but if I can get a little bit more money, I know I can make enough of a statement here in the city to where I can get enough attention from the amount of voters that I need to at least proceed through to the primary and go head to head with them in November.
How many people are running for the seat?
Three.
Three.
Yeah.
Let's play your video. I like your video here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
It's a good video. Let's take a look at this video.
Wildstar, what are we gonna do about these potholes, man? Call Domino's.
What about these roads that keep falling apart?
Call Domino's. Did you know that Domino's Pizza will fix your potholes or even pave a brand new road in exchange for advertising? That means road repairs can be done without spending any of taxpayers' money. I know it sounds like a wild idea, and I've got plenty more where that came from. So go wild, Fresno, and vote Wildstar for City Council.
That's a good ad right there.
Thank you very much. It's
good
just
stuff.
Plain and simple, straight to the point. A lot of people are upset about the road conditions around the town, and it's like, hey, what better way to fix them than to just let a company come along, fix them in exchange for advertising, and taxpayers won't have to pay anything for it. It's a win-win situation, and to me, it's a no-brainer. But it's sad that city officials, not only here in Fresno, but across the country, haven't really taken advantage of what Domino's is offering with their paving for pizza program.
That's why we need you and other people like you. We need fresh blood in there with new ideas, not the same old government thinking that is failing us. Thomas, you want to chime in? You got any questions?
Yeah, that's fantastic. I thought it might even be a parody or something. Really, they're doing that. So if they're doing that, absolutely, you gotta anytime they're giving it away for free just to splash their ads out there, and they're going to provide this community service that's so valuable. Of course, you gotta say yes to something like that, and you should be going after that. That's absolutely fantastic, and probably that can be extended to other companies as well. Mm-hmm. Local companies that want to, take a stab at that, particularly these gigantic corporations that don't, they're not giving back to society as much as a lot of people would like them to. And here's another way for them to do that in a roundabout fashion. So, yeah, it's a creative, very nifty idea. I wish there were some big advertisers in the developing economies that could do something like that. That'd be fantastic. But in a California, that's great. So really happy to see you doing these creative kind of things. I would like to ask a number of questions on some other policies. Sam, you can just tell me when I can have a go at that whenever you decide.
Go for it. My mom wants me to ask. Okay, Nicholas, she's not in your district, but she lives in Fresno here, and she just recently had her mailbox. She has broken into. She has a community mailbox, and they came and pried the back off of it. And I think there's 30 different. It's like the community mailbox. Everybody has their little box, and so she wanted to know. And then I guess it's federal. but then it's like the federal government doesn't want to do anything about it, and they're jerking everybody around, and they're like, we're not going to fix it for a month. You got to come to the post office to get your mail. And she's like, ask him if there's any ideas that he has about these mail thefts that are going on. Any solutions locally for that? Have you heard about this? Because it's actually happened in my neighborhood as well, in Clovis here. And the funny thing is, there's literally a cop car parked because the person that lives at the house right across the street from the community mailbox is a police, and they have their police car parked in their front yard.
Wow.
But they still did it. They took a crowbar to it and just pried it open, in the middle of the night when everybody was asleep, and stole everybody's mail. And then we have to wait like 2 weeks for the federal government, the post office, to come here and replace it. And it's just, it's a nightmare.
Well, yeah, I've heard about that, the mailbox break-ins all around the city, and it's unfortunate that, thieves will be thieves, and they're going to find something to steal, whether it's mail or somebody's car or whatever the case may be. But
I think Amazon Ring can probably fix that. Some local Fresno startup. You could one of the things you could do, you could launch a new initiative and say, you know what, we're going to support, as a city council, we're going to support the local startup solving this problem. Here's an idea. You have this Amazon Ring. They already have these video cameras. How about some startup develop a solution right here in Fresno, and we'll help promote you, as a city, of doing that to solve this issue. And they can make some new solution where that's going to, all these boxes are going to be on the camera's going to have some be on the mailbox. And there's some other startup that made like recently a very high security mailbox, and they pay for that, and they're monetizing this in some method, like with the data, etc. Of that, and then has higher security and has like a magnetic opening, so there's a lot more security for people to get in there, and then the city doesn't need to pay for that. So this was their idea. I heard them pitching it to investors. Some of the investors were quite impressed by that. I think it's very much overdue, and then you can promote new local business in there. And if a city council would suggest, hey, we have these problems, let's reach out to the startup community. We're going to open this up to everybody. Here's all of our problems. Hello, startups, come and solve this, and we'll promote this and state this, and then we've got your back when you're talking to VCs, and we'll be saying to your VC, hello, VCs, we need these problems solved here. These startups here have the best solutions for that. Can some of you guys please fund this? Maybe the city will match a little bit of funds into this or that in some respect. And everybody would absolutely love that. They would really get behind you if you're going to open up, the problems of the city into the startup community, the innovators, et cetera, that can really great at solving problems with technology. And everybody in California absolutely loves that. It'd be great to see some of these, leaders in these positions in government office do that and focus on the small business development, which so many they don't really do. They're focusing on these much bigger corporate fests instead of where it matters the most.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy. I think you've been looking in my playbook, because that's actually one of my proposals, is to arm the citizenry. You know what I mean? We want to make sure that the public has an opportunity to strike back against crime just as much as our law enforcers, So I want to make sure that our neighborhood watch organizations have the resources that they need to follow through on those patrols when police officers aren't in the neighborhood. Expanding our Citizens Police Academy, taking some of these disadvantaged youth and people that want to maybe go into law enforcement, but maybe have a criminal history themselves, to turn a new leaf, and get involved in the community and actually provide that protection themselves. So not to mention, no better to know who's actually behind these break-ins and these petty crimes than the people themselves in those neighborhoods. So if they're getting the word on the street, so to speak, from inside sources, then they're able to take action and hopefully, again, in cooperation with police officers, be able to bring those type of crimes down to a minimum, if not make them non-existent at all. But it's a matter of taking action. I think also, poverty plays a role into it, and people are desperate. These are desperate times, and people do desperate things. So
people are hurting. The real inflation is like 16-17%. They try to tell us it's like 8. And so, yeah, I mean, just go to the grocery store. You could see massive increases, the gas pump, and so on and so on. So people are hurting. And then, of course, crime will rise during these economic depression times. Nicholas, but I wanted to ask you something, because I know that you campaign with the conservatives, these different conservative groups, and they didn't like your stance on Black Lives Matter, right? Because they're totally against Black Lives Matter, and you were saying Black Lives Matter back when you're running for governor. So what's your position on Black Lives Matter now? And do you want to explain that for our hardcore right-wing conservative audience who's totally against Black Lives Matter? Do you want to explain the nuance of your position, or just tell us your position on Black Lives Matter?
Absolutely. Well, I've always been an advocate of police reform. I myself am a police abuse survivor, so I see the need for it. And again, support the call from the community that demands that. I mean, they are paying for a city service, and they should receive that. They should be receiving the best services available, whether it's police services or fire services or again, governmental services. So when it comes to the Black community, again, saying, hey, when it comes to abuse by police officers, we would like more accountability, then I again wholeheartedly support that. Any community, for that matter. I lived in Fullerton at the time, and
that's what I never got, Nicholas, is it's like nobody's pro police brutality, right? I mean, who could be? But I think,
believe it or not, when you make this argument to people and I guess explain the distinction, they still are confused. They see what Black Lives Matter does, or as far as the provocateurs that are going out there and destroying property or whatever the case may be. Because overall, if you've ever participated in any of their rallies or protests or whatever the case may be, they're majority peaceful. Same thing with the reopen protests that I've been to. Same thing with the Second Amendment protests that I've been to. All of them, the majority of them have been peaceful. And the media has a job. They're going to report on those incidents that people fear, because they're a fear network. They're a propaganda network. So the more that they can feed into people's hunger for destruction and chaos, and, to run somewhere and hide, then that's what they're going to gravitate towards. So when you have minor incidents happen in these marches and rallies, that's what they pay attention to. But when it comes to the organization of Black Lives Matter, I've always have been outspoken against them, because I knew that any organization that's taking a certain amount of money, especially from people such as George Soros, and taking dollar amounts to the tune of $30 million, that was their seed money to start as a startup back in 2016, when I was initially looking into joining them, the organization part of it. Excuse me. And that's when I learned about the inner workings of it, that money was not trickling down to the local level. So just that itself, again, raised a red flag to me. And I've done my best as a Black man that, again, has had these experiences with police officers to say, hey, this organization, they're off path. They're, they're perpetrators, and if anything, they're using that call to action and exploiting it for their own personal gain. And now here we have proof of that,
Right.
with organization leadership actually doing exactly that with the tens of millions of dollars they've gotten in support.
No. What do you think if you go on to win? And from what I'm hearing so far, I'm already hoping that you do. It
All right,
sounds like
great.
some good things that you're intending on doing, and that sounds fantastic. Um, I think, personally, in my opinion, you would then probably have some responsibility as a public officer working in the government to probably take some action, or at least really significantly look into what you can do about what I see as the campaign finance violations and fraud, widespread fraud that were committed against all of these black people that were directed to the Black Lives Matter website to donate, etc. And that all of that money was funneled, diverted to the Act Blue, right, Democrat Party candidates, etc. White liberal candidates, a lot of them from significantly racist backgrounds. It was just absolutely atrocious to see this. And I know if it was the other party doing that, if it's the Republican Party, people would probably be in jail already for doing that. I can't even believe that this has been allowed to go on as long as it has. And campaign finance violations, as far as I know, unless I'm incorrect. But if I am correct, somebody needs to do something about that. And anybody in any government office can, initiate legal proceedings against that, and should be ordering that. In my opinion, where are you on that issue?
Well,
A
I
lot of
would
people
definitely
were
support.
frauded. They were misled, and that's misleading advertising. I mean, there's a whole basket of
Yeah,
statutes that they violated there, and somebody needs to do something about it. Nobody's doing anything about it, and that's wrong.
right. Well, I would stand with the people of Fresno that have been harmed by their fraud. If they wanted to again speak out and join me in taking legal action against them, then I would push it forward as far as I could to make sure that they got compensated for any of their losses. But I think it's a matter of, again, pressure being put on our federal government, which I could also help do. I could
Right,
use my soapbox and my position to make sure that they are being held accountable
right,
for their crimes, because it
right,
is definitely a crime. And the people of Fresno and everywhere in California, or nationally, have been scammed by these people that have taken their money and have chosen to use it for their own personal interests, opposed to putting them to use that they were initially given under the context of. So maybe even leaning on the governor to do something, since this is an organization that was based out of that is based out of California, and has several of its leaders living in California. So
right.
the governor definitely needs to do his job also, but my focus is going to be making sure that the people of Fresno are taken care of and protected. Whatever I can do here locally, I definitely will.
Yeah, it seems, if we were to assert to people and say, hey, contribute to Alpha Omega Energy and our clean energy technology startup, and then we took all of the money, that money was instantly diverted on the website to us or friends of ours making Domino's Pizza franchises. I mean, they put us in jail. They put us in
Mhm.
jail tomorrow. So
Yeah, I mean, they did the same thing with Enron. They threw Bernie Madoff in jail, but it's a matter of
Right,
the law enforcement doing their job as well. I guess we can help with the investigation as far as moving it along, because it can only move as quickly as they're able to collect evidence and, I guess, provide the proof needed to make arrests.
right.
Um,
But if the city council is calling out for it, saying, "Hey, look, we want people to come forward. Everybody that gave money to this organization under this situation, this guise, if that looks like it's and the city council can take this up with their legal counsel that the
mhm.
city council has access to to say, you know, what statutes did this break? What laws did this actually break, etc. And ask them, right? The city council could even order them, and when they find out that they did break, you know, X number of statutes, whatever that is, obviously there is some breaches there of some kind at the very least. They could ask the lawyer to call in to a class action for the entire county, and then, you know, encourage them to, you know, open this class action up nationwide. They could do it from Fresno County, and also, you know, ask and request, you know, after advice from the legal counsel, ask the law enforcement there in Fresno County to take legal action against us and defend the citizens of Fresno County. And, you know, and you can put some serious pressure on them, and the media is going to talk about this, etc. And the people are all going to get behind it. And that could turn the entire thing nationwide to bring justice for these people. So
yeah, if we can file a lawsuit against them on behalf of the city of Fresno and the people of Fresno, then maybe that will be that domino that gets everything going. So we'll see what we can do. It's a matter of first getting elected and, you know, putting out all of the priorities out there on the table to what matters most to the people of Fresno. So,
right. I mean, it's such a crime to see them say, "Hey, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. We're going to steal this slogan. We're going to steal this cause, etc. Give your money in here to this cause," and then they just divert it to something else. And these people that everybody thought they're giving to this group, they didn't get anything.
Absolutely,
I mean, that is just absolutely outrageous. I can't even believe that they.
Well, but you first have city officials that are scamming taxpayers right here. You know, so if we can't get down to the bottom of who those people are first, how can we then go after, you know, a national organization? So that's what I'm saying about cleaning up house. You know, if we want to drain the swamp truly, then
it's got to be done locally.
Absolutely,
it's got to be done locally, and the lawyers involved in that, they will be more than happy to do a class action, extend this out to class action. You know,
I'm sure.
So that's all that you would need to do. And, you know, once one law enforcement agency took action on something like that, of course the other ones, they have to do it. So that's all that you need to do is focus on local. But think about the whole country and all of these people that were. I mean, it's just another fraud. They're just taking advantage of these people again. It's just so disgusting to see that they've done that.
Yeah, we need to clean up locally here first, for sure. So, Nicholas, I'm sure you notice in Fresno and California, there's homeless everywhere, right? We have a major homeless problem, major drug problem. And I saw that you posted this as one of the solutions. You want to tell us about this as one of your solutions for homelessness?
Yes, 3D printed homes. I've been promoting the idea since I first ran for office in 2014. The idea and the concept was fairly new about 3D printing, but I could foresee the possibilities. And when it comes to addressing homelessness and affordable housing, even 3D printed technology to me just stands out as being one of the best affordable ways that we could do exactly that.
Because what are they doing now? They're like commandeering hotels, or they did hotels.
Yeah, and spending tens of thousands of dollars to renovate, you know, dilapidated properties, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to provide containment homes for those in need. So that's actually been proven now. I made that claim a long time ago that, you know, $100,000 was being spent on these containment homes that had no bathroom, had no water, no running water, no running plumbing at all, no heating. It was basically just a four walls. So yeah, my idea is to take those four walls, make it something such as this, which is a spherical house that was built in under 24 hours in Japan. The technology right now is being used here in America, in California particularly, in Rancho Mirage. A company is building 3D printed homes for a residential community. So if we actually used it to address homelessness, we could do so in a more economical manner, as well as clear up some of the trash out of our landfills, since this use recyclable materials, you know, and
Right.
they're self-sustainable. So they have their own water and power. So it's a one and done type of situation. And some of these models cost less than $10,000. So my idea is to bring one of those manufacturing facilities to Fresno. If we had one here, then we could easily spit out these homes, fairly quickly and cheaply. It would provide jobs for the people of Fresno. It could also provide a matter of economic boost to the city of Fresno, since we could again also sell some of these homes as affordable homes to people that want to buy a house and don't want to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars doing so. They can just buy one of these and buy the land and put it on the land, and they're portable. They can
Right.
take it wherever they want. So what I would
Yeah,
like to do.
They can be exported all across the country and all across the world as well. It could be a potential export opportunity as well for the city.
Right,
That's
exactly.
fantastic.
Yeah. So what I want to do is actually have communities where, it's like a public community where we have public bathrooms and kitchen facilities, etc. But we have these yurt homes to house our people that are living on the streets. So if we were to provide that, and there's even other models where it's a one bedroom, one bathroom. Some of them are multi-family homes that can be built to provide housing for the families that are living on the streets. There's, women with small children living on the streets and then out of their cars, even, or in those hotels that you were talking about. And we definitely want to make sure they have a roof over their heads. We have military veterans. We have, disadvantaged youth that have been
Nicholas, I
out
don't
of their
think people truly understand how bad it is here in California. You have to see it with your own eyes
Yeah.
to truly understand, because we have it the worst of any place in the United States, the homeless problem. And it's so, these people are living in makeshift cardboard boxes, tents, tarps, and it's like lower than third world living conditions. It's horrible. This should never happen in America, never happen in California. And it's our political leadership that has created the environment through their failure that has allowed this crisis to happen. And it needs to end. And this is a great solution to this homeless crisis.
Absolutely fantastic solution. And the money's going to be there. The VC money is going to be there. The finance is going to be there for something like this if it's done through the city, like a joint city initiative, partnering with startups, local startups, and business people. And then, of course, the venture capitalists want to do this, impact funds, etc. They're definitely going to want to support something like this.
Think if Home Depot sponsored this. Again, wouldn't cost taxpayers a dime, and now we have this home manufacturing plant here in our city.
Yes, it has to be done. It absolutely has to be done. It'd be total incompetence not to do it. So I'm really happy to see you supporting something like this also.
Thank you.
That's the leadership that all government officials need to be taking, is moving into these new technologies, applying them into the marketplace in their cities, growing the economy with these kind of opportunities. So I'm happy to see you doing that. As somebody who's big on technology and making technology.
Well, we got to utilize the technology there, especially if it's presenting itself as a solution to these problems. That's my idea, is that the reason why government exists the way that it does and is so bloated is because they drag out the problems. The more that they do that, the more taxpayer money that they get to collect, and the more they get to campaign on saying that they're going to solve that problem the next time around, and then nothing happens. So
Nicholas, tell us about this post that you put up a couple of days ago. What's going on here for a city of Fresno giving $5 million for Clean California grant program? What's going on with that? That is a lot of money. I think you said that's a boatload of money. That is a boatload of money.
$5 million to the left, $5 million to the right. They're just throwing millions. And Gavin Newsom, I guess this is one of his favorite cities because he keeps dumping cash into the city, but it's not being spent. You know, the money was supposed to be used on building sidewalks and just improving our infrastructure, improving the roads. Of course, that hasn't been done. Miguel Arias wants to tout about what they're doing around the Belmont corridor, but what about everywhere else in the Tower District? What about Chinatown being completely underdeveloped? What about the southwest area side of town where I live that is still it's still underdeveloped? So that money isn't being used wisely, and it's a matter of mismanagement, of course. And there's tons of projects that are shelved, and it's like the reason why they're sitting there, these great ideas that are being overlooked and not being taken into consideration is because of the funding. Here's the money, take the project, take the money, put them together, make it happen. It's not like that they don't know what to do with the money. There's tons of projects again and that have already been developed that are waiting to move forward. I plan on making sure that I fast track those already, existing projects. After review, of course, we want to make sure that we're not wasting it on another government boondoggle. But if it's worth the cost and we have the cash to get the job done, then let's just do it already. We got to make sure that the speed bump installation is also done. That's another demand by the people of community because of the drag racing that happens in residential areas. It's causing a safety concern, especially when there's small children in those neighborhoods. My wife and my son, we all go jogging around the neighborhoods, and in speaking to my neighbors, they don't want a family such as ours to get hit by a car and them have to deal with another tragedy here. So we want to
there's another tech solution for startups to do if there's not enough cameras in these different areas, whatnot. If they want to go one more step, in addition to speed bumps, etc., they could have cameras in different places, funded by the startup, and the city, pay something. They don't have to pay all of the infrastructure because the startup and investment capital could pay for that. But there's an income stream there from the city, and the city could ask also, the insurance industry to get involved with some kind of incentives or some, as well to, because of course it's going to, anytime you're going to, reduce vandalism or reduce any of these issues and reduce insurance claims, then you have a profit center there as well, so you create this opportunity there for these people that want to get into law enforcement, like you're talking about it. There's another a meeting there that can be done. So yeah, there's certainly no shortage of things to be built, but we need these proactive people like yourself that want to get this moving a little bit faster. It's 2022 and we don't have the flying cars yet, right? Like were promised to us back in 1985, right? So get it moving a little bit faster, get some technology funded.
But the problem is here, we have great ideas, we have the money, but we have these corrupt politicians. Now you see Arias, Esparza, Maxwell, and Soria. They're the woke, far left, quote, progressives. They're like communists. There's corrupt gangsters is what they are at the end of the day, that push people around, use all their woke political correctness to bully people and get nothing done except for their own personal advantages. We got to get rid of all four of them because they're doing nothing but enriching themselves at the cost of the whole county here now, the city and the county at this point. 500,000 plus residents are suffering due to the corruption of very few.
Yes,
How about
absolutely. Thanks
how,
for
how,
bringing up that.
how about having open, open finance for the people? It should all be open. That doesn't really make any sense to to me. One of the things that we did with our startup, we put every single receipt onto the Google Drive, everything that we spent, down to the last dollar. I don't understand, and it's not that difficult even for a startup to do when you don't have big money for accountants and these kind of things. How is it even possible that the finances of the taxpayer, this is our money, how is it even possible that this is not completely open from the beginning, open accounting, and then the entire community can get inside of there and look at different things, suggest different cost cutting opportunities, and compete for
Exactly.
that business? It's got to be opened up, man. So I'm cheering for you. I hope you can get in there and make that happen for the people and make laws that they can't shut it down after that.
Exactly. Well, my technology solution for this post here that he has up about the audit is to first, we want to audit those officials. We want to we want to make sure that that's done. We want to make sure our public finances have not been misappropriated and mismanaged. And the best way to do that is with a public, independent audit uh, that's happening in real time, where we actually see where the money is going, what's been accounted for so far, et cetera, et cetera. But the technological solution I have moving forward is to make all of those transactions public record on the blockchain. Why don't we have a website we can just go to, like you just said, and look up
Yeah.
all the finances? And one of my favorite websites is transparentcalifornia.com. I use it all the time just to kind of see where our money has been going, but it's a website that relies on public officials providing them with accounting data. And when they refuse to give them that information, even though it's under the Freedom of Information Act, it delays them from posting it for the public to see. So a lot of the time it's maybe a year or a few years. There we go. After the fact, but we still are able to see where that information is. And hey, what if we had a company like Transparent California, gave them all of the actual records, that they needed, and now the public can go to Transparent California and see all of that up-to-date, real-time information.
Yes, yeah, it's got to be done. And all of these, public officials, etc. There should be, at least some kind of board or scrutiny, for that also. Like,
Yeah, no oversight committees at all. We need
yeah,
that.
Trump had to divest from absolutely everything. They put him through the rigmarole, et cetera, for all of this. And generally, I support that. I don't think you should have to divest. Anybody should have to divest from things. You just put somebody to watch everything. Like, of course, all of the records need to be made public for any of these positions. I mean, you're in government. You're there to serve the people, not to serve yourself in your own interest, to enrich yourself and make endless money and use this as a machine, to enrich yourself. But clearly, that's what many people are doing. There was just another New York official, a Democrat, that was arrested for bribery. It was all over the news yesterday, and it's just happening endlessly.
Lieutenant Governor of New York, was arrested for corruption. That was
I saw
kind
that.
of a big deal.
You were talking about Miguel Arias and his Brown Act violations, or at least speculation of thereof, and he's still under investigation for those violations, by the way. So who knows what could happen in the near future once those investigations are concluded. But you shouldn't have to divest. You're a public official, and now you're in the public sector, but when you were in the private sector and you did business, that's still yours. Now, while you're in the public sector, you should not be involved in any influential business deals that's going to benefit, your private investments. Now, as long as those deals are being done and it's being done publicly, then it's fine. I own Tesla stock, and hey, I'm open to talking to Elon Musk about developing a hyperloop here in Fresno, or taking over the high speed rail and
He might
actually getting it up and running. And
he might be an interested investor in that housing project. He lives in a boxable house, right? So he really likes these low cost.
yes,
You know,
he even said, "Hey, I'll give money to anybody that has an answer to homelessness."
well,
So if we step up and say, "Hey, we have an answer to get the nearly 5,000 people in Fresno off of the streets and into homes," maybe he'll invest into it, and we'll take the money.
I'd be surprised if he would. I'd be surprised if he wouldn't.
Didn't he want to? Didn't he want to turn Twitter headquarters in San Francisco into a homeless shelter?
Yeah, he said that. It probably would be a very cushy one too, But that's what we need. More innovation, more people coming to the table with different ideas as to how we can solve these issues, and especially homelessness. I mean, we got more than enough to take care of everybody tenfold. And if the money's being wasted, then it definitely could be better well spent. That's exactly what I'll be doing. I don't want to prevent the public from getting involved. Also, we have a city ordinance that Miguel Arias just co-authored with another city official, to prevent the public from being able to go into a homeless encampment, during a cleanup. A lot of advocates go there to provide information to those people that are being displaced, or to offer assistance, etc. But now, if you were to do so, whether you're doing so as an individual or part of a church, or are a member of the press, you can be fined $250 or even be charged a misdemeanor. So it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's crazy. What kind of services are there right now to, like a human resources service or whatnot, of people going into these different places, collecting their information and getting those people so that they can get alerts and an app, their phone, whatever, some human resources company or contractor for the city that is actively working to get those people work and opportunities, etc. Well, what is there right now for that?
Well, there are existing services, but they're just like every other government service. They're long drawn out. They're, incompetent. If anything, they're dysfunctional completely, and it makes it even more frustrating for those people that are in need of the resources to actually receive them. There's qualifying factors, and simply being someone that's living on the street, that's destitute and don't have a way to provide an income for themselves, isn't good enough. Then they have waiting periods, to where people may have to wait months, sometimes even a year or so, before they even get approved to receive those benefits. So it's just awful, again, that we have government providing these solutions, but yet also getting in the way from them actually being, provided to those in need of
right.
them.
And there you go with private market solutions again, or the government could bring them in and say, hey, again, startups, please, make some services. We got these issues with them being approved. We have all this red tape, all these rules and regulations, everything we need to follow. But the private market doesn't have any of that. You guys can make an app or a program or a platform or whatever that chases after these people with all these different jobs, does all the matchmaking, everything else, and gives you what you need, sets up things for you. There might be something like that right away. Sam, can you show this picture? I cannot leave this meeting without asking you about this.
Okay, real quick, because Nicholas has to go, but let's wrap it up right now, and we'll have him give us his campaign pitch on the way out.
Here's one that's world changing, with radical impact for absolutely everybody. And there's this issue of there's been over 5,000 and well over 5,800 technological patents, etc., under government secrecy orders that have been stifled. The mainstream media has reported on this many times in the past. It's not some fake internet conspiracy theory or something like that. It's very real. And there's over 4,000 energy technologies that have been seized in the past, and those are held to this day. That all of the governments are screaming about climate change. There's a massive energy crisis all over the world, right? You got this degrading California power grids. PG&E almost went bankrupt again. You have these wildfires being started from that, right? And then you have this Biden shutting down a Keystone pipeline, or just endless energy crisis. And I've never seen a single politician ever in any office even advocating for even one of these technologies to be released. Can I please pin you down and get a commitment from you that you will ask, for these to be released, or at least some kind of review, and be the first guy in American government, history that I've ever heard of that actually starts to advocate to start to release some of this and allow more of these kind of, incredible technologies to come into the market. I made 4,600 plus technologies so far. I don't believe that they're ever going to allow real breakthrough energy in America. So I'm not in America building it in there, because I think they'll stop it just like they stopped all of these.
Right.
So can we get some commitment from you to call, if you're in office, for this to be reviewed, and do it publicly, so other people are going to start considering this as well in today's environment.
Absolutely. I don't think there should be any type of classification of information by the government. If it's not a matter of national security, and it has to be something that is deemed an immediate threat, that should be concealed for whatever reason, then so be it. But preventing innovation and ideas from being shared with other people is something that I believe is just it's unnecessary, and it's a bit despicable, because you can tell that there's some malicious intent there to stop growth of our society, on whether it's to benefit a small group of people, that have a monopoly on whatever it is. But if we really wanted to see our flying cars, or there not being any people living on the streets, or not being any kids or families that are hungry, then we have all sorts of ways that we can, again, make sure that we are providing solutions, permanent solutions, to make sure that we don't have to worry about them again. So I actually am promoting with my Go New Deal, which I was doing during my gubernatorial campaign, to make Fresno a renewable energy hub. So if we can transition to a renewable energies here in Fresno, and kind of lead the way on making sure that we're having an impact on or lessening our impact on the environment, then that'll be the way we could do so. Fuel-free backup solutions for our energy, for our water, definitely is essential. We want to make sure that we're not experiencing blackouts. There was a child here that died recently because we had a blackout here in Fresno, and they weren't able to make a phone call for emergency services. So we want to make sure that we have power, and with threats of war and other stuff, we want to make sure that it's reliable. Water, food, all of those things. I actually am wanting to create an inventors hub, like in I believe Singapore and Barcelona, where we can have community centers where people with the biggest and brightest ideas come together. We come up with ideas to provide to government officials to deal with whatever the case may be, but it'll also be open source. So there isn't any issue of, patents and trademarks or whatever the case may be. We came up with a way to solve the issue as a community. We're going to deal with it as a community. So I think more platforms such as that being created will actually invite free thinkers to actually want to share their ideas. And hey, if you want to profit from it, then we definitely need to make the patenting process a lot easier. I think it's awful that we don't have a car that runs on water or hemp oil like Ford proposed, but is
Right.
suppressed by the oil industry, so it's the crony capitalism that has really killed growth and innovation. I'm not a crony capitalist. I'm not going to be in the pocket of any lobbyist, any corporation, anybody like that, any union. They're not backing my campaign now, and I'm pretty sure that once I get elected and actually start to put my policy proposals into action, they won't be backing me in the future either.
They're not going to back you, no. Okay, we're going to let you go, Nicholas. We appreciate your time. What's the best way for people to get a hold of you? What website is this to donate to you? Is this it right here?
Yes, it is. That's the best outlet for information. If you want to connect with me on social media, it's there: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all on my CrowdPack. That's crowdpack.com /C/Go Wild Fresno. So check out the website. My CrowdPack is basically like a GoFundMe for political candidates. So please consider making a small contribution. Every little bit helps. Like I said, I'm right now just trying to buy a few more signs and do some Facebook ads and all of that stuff. So it doesn't take much. So please consider making a contribution. And if you don't want to give me any money, then you can make an endorsement on crowdpack.com. Give me a thumbs up. Let the people out there know you support my campaign. And that's definitely going to help. Spread the word.
When's the deadline again to vote? Or when is election day for the primary?
Starts May 9th because they'll be sending out those mail-in ballots, remember? So June 7th is the actual election day, the primary date, but those mail-in ballots will be sent out early May. So look out for that mail-in ballot when you get it. If you are in my district, please support my campaign by voting for me. If you are not, then you can help by spreading the word to other people to vote for my campaign. And that's it. I mean, Fresno is one of the 5th largest cities in California, one of the largest cities in the entire country. So it's a way for we, the people, and the liberty-minded, patriots across the country to make a stand right here, right now in Fresno. So join me, go wild with Wildstar for Fresno City Council.
Go wild. We got to get you in there, man, and get rid of this Arias, that's for sure, because this guy's just, every time you turn over a rock, some corrupt dealing this guy's doing, it's just ridiculous. So, yes, vote for Nicholas Wildstar, Fresno City Council, District 3. Do your own research. Subscribe to this channel. Speak out and take action. Peace, love.